So we got this new thing we're doing, Ask the Tiki Man. And if you got your question, just go into the chat. This is only for YouTube chat only. And so go in there and put Ask in capital letters and put your question, and then we'll be glad to answer those questions. And this becomes a whole nother segment on YouTube, which helps us out tremendously. So if you got some kind of crazy question you've always wanted to ask me, or you want to ask my opinion, and I've got some opinions about some things going on down in Key West that we're going to talk about eventually, but we'll get to that. All right, so what's question number one there, B-Dog?
Patty with an I wants to know, how did the Songwriter Showcase in Key West get its start?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. And
yes, I was there for the first one.
Yeah, so the B-Man and Me show had just moved to the island.
That's right.
And they were, if those of you that remember back in the Tiki House days, across from the Tiki House was a Mexican, it was
also called Amigos.
Amigos, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Much better than this crazy place we've got here. That's not a Mexican restaurant. Well, I thought we were going to a Mexican restaurant yesterday, but no, we're going to the high school taco stand.
Well, in defense, they actually advertise themselves as a Mexican-American restaurant.
Well, yes. They need to get rid of the Mexican thing and just sell hamburgers, because their hamburgers are damn good.
That's the only American part on the menu.
Yeah.
Is a cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, so they were sitting over to Migos, and the Tiki House was just opening up. And now this was right before Hurricane Irma. And so they were opening up, and they're sitting across the street there, and they just moved to the island. So they're looking for places to play. So they go over there, introduce themselves, and said, we're musicians, we'd love to play. And so they hired them and all this stuff. And so they started asking about this thing called Meeting of the Minds. What's that all about? So Brian goes immediately into it and says, it's great. Once a week we bring everybody down here. It's a big family reunion. There's music all over the island. They're like, well, we'd love to be a part of that. So Brian, knowing me, thinks Tiki House, Tiki Man, that would be a good fit. And so he calls me. Now, this was 2 weeks before.
2 weeks, you guys threw it together.
2 weeks. And
fantastic.
So we got to talking about it, and I was like, okay, me and Brian started talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, if you can get us there, pay for plane tickets, get us down there, we'll blow the thatch off the roof when we get there. All right. And so we had 53 artists that we threw together over a 2-week period, and at the Tiki House. And we had never been there before, didn't know how we were going to do it, didn't really have the format of how we were going to do it. But we, being Brian and I, like we are always talking, and I mean, we immediately went to work, put it all together. Then the hurricane happens, right? And everything in Key West is closed down. The upper Keys, up Big Pine Key, got really hit pretty hard. If people drove down, we were driving down that year, and so we got to see all the destruction. But then it became a quest. A lot of people canceled. A lot of people decided they weren't going to Key West that year. So it became a quest that Key West needs you, right? The island needs you to come back to the island. And guess what? We got a hell of a showcase that we're going to put together. So that's how it all came about. We called it the Tiki Man Radio Songwriter Showcase, and then we added Key West Bound in the second year, and the rest is history. Now we're going into our 7th year over at Rick's Dirty Harry's. We knew immediately with 53 artists playing, and they were playing 45-minute increments all day long. Mm-hmm. So they had 10 minutes to set up and break down. Next artist comes up, they come over, we interviewed them, boom, out the door, and
it was wild.
And it was crazy. And what we discovered was that each artist brought in their own entourage. Now, a lot smaller venue. The chocolate bar probably is bigger than the Tiki House is.
That's no joke. Yeah,
and it had a very small stage. So the Green Street, the police were constantly coming because Green Street was closed down with so many people standing out front. Captain Tony's was pissed off at us because people were going over there getting beer and coming back.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of critiquing, but that's how it all started. And I always say that I would never do that event without Brian. And Brian says, I'm done with this. And there's been some years where we both have reached that point that I wouldn't do it anymore, and that's kind of where we're at.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
That came from Patty.
That
That
came
would
with
have
Patty.
Patty with an eye.
There we go. Thanks, Patty.
All right. Bobby McQueen has a question. He goes, do you produce Jukebox Saturday morning, or is that something that you purchase for rebroadcast?
No, Jukebox Saturday is exclusive to Tiki Man Radio, and
And Danny produced it.
yeah, all of those commercials, those clips, those especially the Foghorn Leghorns and cartoons and stuff like that. I have went out and individually recorded those clips off of movie clips and this and that, and then converted them into MP3s. So a lot of those clips I've produced myself. The music I choose, it's a certain type of music that I like to play. And if you caught it Friday night, we started Jukebox Saturday early because
Yes.
there was no Coastal Confessions. So we started Jukebox Saturday about 7:30 Friday night.
Well, Bobby said, by the way, one song played 3 times in a row yesterday morning. Now, that does happen sometimes. Sometimes
What
when
was
we,
the song, Bobby?
Yeah, tell us what the song was, because sometimes if we have it in the lineup and we have 3 songs of the same song, then we just need to go and take it out.
Rare that happens.
It
but
is rare,
If
but-
it does happen, any of you out there, if that does happen, let me know, because that tells me that I've got.
It's a glitch in the system.
Because
Well,
you're the winner.
You're the winner.
You've been
You
paying
just won
attention.
$10,000.
It may not be a glitch in the system. It may
First
be.
caller.
It could
3
be,
songs.
but it also could be
That song
that
is in the list multiple times.
multiple times. Right.
I couldn't imagine it doing it 3 times.
He said 3 times in a row. So tell us what song that was, and we'll go back and check it out.
Yeah.
So
need
was
to know
that during St. Patty's Day when someone
Yeah.
was drinking a lot of beer? They heard it 3 times in a row?
He said yesterday
No,
morning.
he said yesterday morning.
Yeah, yesterday morning.
So it happened on Saturday.
It happened to me too a couple of weeks ago. There's a song in there, One Less Bell to Ring.
Yeah, and it played a few times.
It played,
I remember that.
Yeah, it played back to back, and I came down, and sure enough, I had 2 of them in there.
Yeah, so let us know for sure, Bobby, what song that was, and we'll get that fixed.
I think you ought to make a prize out of that if you know, let's face it.
Well, I think, whenever we start playing Jukebox Saturday, when I get up the next morning, I go and I look at some of the statistics and numbers that I can see in the back office of how many people's listening and all that stuff. And it just blows up. And it amazes me that we've never been able to get a sponsor for Jukebox Saturday, a nostalgia type sponsor.
And everybody loves it.
Yeah, everybody
It's
loves
my
it.
favorite show.
Plays 12 hours every weekend, and it needs a sponsor that fits.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that fits.
Yeah.
How would you find a fit for that?
Well,
It's
we've been looking.
pretty-
a roller coaster. I reached out to Lake
Amusement
Winnipesaukee,
park, yeah.
the Tennessee Railroad Museum. I was involved with them for a little while, going backwards and forwards.
There was a jukebox company we were looking at one time.
Yeah, Joe
Yeah.
Leo and them was telling me about a jukebox company out in California.
Yeah.
Then I reached out to them, never heard back from them. I mean, you guys have no idea how much work goes into
There
sponsorship.
was a place in Memphis we reached out to.
Yeah.
Didn't hear
Yeah.
back from her.
Yeah, Patty sent us a place down in Florida somewhere that she liked, and reached out to them. And
I can contest for that because we put out tons, trying to
Yeah.
get sponsors for
Sponsor.
our show.
Yeah. Oh,
And
It's a lot of work.
we've even talked to people face to face and said, "Oh, that sounds great. Send me the information."
Yeah.
And then you just never hear from them. So,
Yeah.
it is tough.
Yeah.
It is real tough.
all right, so yeah, Jukebox Saturday is something that I produce myself. The clips, the commercials, every one of those. The rest of the story with Paul Harvey.
Oh, I love
yeah.
Paul Harvey.
I
Love
found a
Paul
guy.
Harvey.
I found a guy. I can't even remember where he was at. He was a big Paul Harvey guy, and he had every one of them recorded. And he sent me a Dropbox of all. I have every one of them.
You have
That
all of
is
Paul Harvey.
awesome.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes,
he
we
was-
do, and we play it on
my.
the jukebox.
You know what?
He is so. He was such a big fan of it. He was the biggest Paul Harvey fan that I could find, and he sent me every one of them that was recorded by Paul Harvey, because he had all of them.
Did you know that there's another Paul Harvey? It's Paul Harvey's son, and he's very wealthy. You might want to make contact with him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that Paul Harvey, because I heard one kick in the other day that was Paul Harvey Jr.
Yes,
Right,
he
yeah.
is.
He did it for a while
that's
for his
and
dad.
he does a few of those same kind of storytelling after his father died.
I could tell the difference in the voice. I
Yeah.
was
Yes.
working and I heard it, and then I looked at it and it said Junior in parentheses.
right.
So I knew there was a
I
difference.
think he
might
did
be
some of the
interested.
shows whenever Paul Harvey wasn't able to actually
Yes,
do the show that day.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he tried to steer it his direction in the end, but gave it up.
They don't play very often. They play about every 2.5 hours, something like that. They'll go out. So in a 12-hour period, you'll have that many of them. But anyway, all right, we got another question.
The next question actually is from Rick the Stick.
Rick the Stick.
He wants to know, is there a story behind how the hippie chick got her name?
Well,
It's those bell bottoms. It's the bell bottoms. It's the bell bottoms.
You
like
wanna
every,
say it?
well,
Yeah, go for it. I want him to tell it from his own words because he named me. So,
well, it had a lot to do with a lot of things, but
yeah, it's kind of a combination of everything. But
yeah, I mean, really, I came out of Naked Tuesday pool day, I think. But,
yeah,
that's how being naked at the pool was probably the big thing. But she also, she was into gardening. She was into this. She was into all this healthy stuff and everything. And I mean, I had no idea at the
Hiking.
time how far down. I didn't know I was going to have worms in my kitchen one day. I mean, if you could go back, to that very first conversation, say, listen, is there ever going to be a time where you're going to put worms in the kitchen? And she said, yes. I don't know if we'd be here right now. But anyway, it is what it is. But, I mean,
You're stuck with me
What
now.
is your side of the story as far as how, I mean, a lot of people have got nicknames for me, so.
well, a lot of it had to do with when Danny and I were, I had just moved in. We were in love with each other.
We're naked a lot.
We were naked a lot. And running around the house. And then he would do these dares. He's like, I dare you, like in the middle of the night, we're sitting there drinking, and he's like, I dare you to run out to the mailbox naked.
Truth or dare. I love playing truth or dare.
Oh, I don't want to do that with you.
Trust me,
good to
Flats,
know.
we've never been that drunk. The last thing I want to do is what you want, but naked to the mailbox,
There
okay?
you go. I wouldn't even be able to find it.
I actually started to panic Friday night because I thought, how drunk is he? When he came to me and goes, hey, that microphone you borrowed, where'd you put it? Because we need to set up for karaoke. And I'm like, how drunk are you?
I know. Yeah, the Tiki Man, you know how he always
Thank
gets
God that
upset
never
about
happened.
karaoke. He actually set it up for us
Yeah.
Friday night, and we never even used it.
That's how drunk
He's-
they were.
No,
Perfect storm.
no, just nobody was interested, So
It just didn't hit us.
Yeah.
Just didn't hit your fancy that night. So, yeah.
Well, the last question I could see is, what kind of cake do you like for your birthday?
My favorite cake in the world is red velvet cake. My mom used to always bring it when she could still come to the party. She hasn't been able to come to the party the last 2 or 3 years, but she would bake me a red velvet cake and bring it for the party.
With the cream cheese frosting.
My sister
That's the ticket.
had a big one brought here a couple years ago that she had baked up or whatever, But red velvet cake, I'd say my second favorite cake is peanut butter cake.
Whoa, I've never had one of those.
Peanut
Never
butter
had
cake.
one of those.
Peanut butter cake?
Yeah, peanut butter icing. Oh my God! If you love peanut butter, it is fantastic.
I love peanut butter. My favorite is German chocolate.
Yes.
Well, that's Tim's favorite.
That's
Yeah,
my
German
favorite.
chocolate is
German
Tim's
chocolate
favorite.
with the coconut and caramel.
Yeah. His mom can make homemade German chocolate cake.
That is
and the icing.
the best. Peanut butter would probably be my second.
That's what's outside right now is German chocolate cake.
Well, I think it's more of a chocolate cake with that caramel icing on it, but it's not a true German
I wouldn't
chocolate.
know, yeah.
There's a difference.
So there you go. Thank you so much for the questions. And if we didn't get to your question,
Oh,
just
how did I miss?
resubmit it.
Well, hold on. I'm
You got
getting yelled
another
at.
one?
I'm getting yelled at because I missed Veronis. I got.
Oh, my goodness.
You gotta do Veronis.
I got to find Veronis.
Oh, okay.
She didn't type "Ask the Tiki Man," I don't think, because that's why I was looking for.
She
it.
didn't follow instructions.
The bodyguard's listening. Hello, honey.
Ask it again, Verona, real quick. So, so ask it again. So, because I'm digging through here, I'm trying to find it.
All right. We'll get to it next week. Thanks anyway, Verona. It helps us a whole lot, once the chat gets going. If you put "ask" in capital letters,
Ask.
Yeah,
it helps
ask.
us out a whole lot.
Yeah, because there's a lot of chat
We
going on
can't
and trying to
find
weed
it.
through it. I can't.